There is a supernatural world that surrounds us, and sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. You'll hear stories about this and so much more right here on Supernatural Confrontations. So I sat down with Carol, and she was completely immersed in the New Age. Of course, I'll let her tell her story, her testimony. I think you'll find it real interesting, and we'll get into that. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor. Noble Gold Investments is pleased to let you know that gold was the best investment class for 2022. Real estate, crypto, stocks, and bonds, gold outperformed them all in 2022. Folks, Noble Gold Investments helped thousands of clients buy real physical gold. I know because Peggy and I have it right here. According to long-term trends, gold outperformed the S&P 500, Dow, and Bitcoin in 2022. Had you invested in the S&P 500 a year ago, you'd be down about 20%. If you invested in Bitcoin a year ago, you'd be down 65%. If you invested in the Dow a year ago, you'd be down almost 10%. Yes, gold has outperformed them all in 2022, and silver was not that far behind. Folks, what are you waiting for? Join the thousands of others by opening a gold IRA or silver IRA with Noble Gold Investments. Invest with Noble Gold Investments before the end of the month, and you'll bag a free 1/4 ounce American Gold Eagle coin with every qualified IRA of $50,000 or more. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold Investments and their thousands of 5-star reviews. Folks, give them a call, 877-646-5347. Once again, that's 877-646-5347. And our own special link is right in the text box below this video. Check them out, folks. So here's Carol's testimony. I'll weigh in briefly on the back end of it. Thanks so much for watching. Folks, I'm here with Carol once again on Supernatural Confrontations. And I've said this before, I probably say it every show, but what I love about the show is it gives people a chance to come on the record and talk about supernatural confrontations that they've had. So it's a safe place. It's a place where there's no ridicule. No one's pointing a finger or running you out of a church and having an auto da fe in the church parking lot. But so Carol, tell us what happened to you, please.
Well, what happened to me was I grew up in the New Age. I grew up with a family that was very much into our Native American history.
Okay.
And which led to everything Native American. And then which led to, so we didn't have a lot of church in the house when I grew up. My family does think of themselves as Christians, and we would maybe go to church at Christmas time for the midnight service, and but that was about it. And so I always loved Jesus, and but I got into the New Age, and the New Age led me into, I did all kinds of cards. I read, my favorite was the Mahjong cards. I did, they're little Chinese.
What are the Marzulli cards? Let me ask you that. What are they?
Yeah. Mahjong cards are like a tarot deck, but they're Mahjong tiles, like the Chinese Mahjong game.
Right.
And I got those years ago, and with the little book, and it's a fortune telling deck. And so I would use it almost every day, and it would tell me what I needed to know for the day and what was going to happen. And then I also got used to using a pendulum, and I used a pendulum, which I thought was just talking to the same spirits that I would talk with the cards. And so I would use the pendulum every day. Every day I would ask it everything. And as time went on, I then got into reading all the books, Dolores Cannon books, everything on UFOs, everything on past life regression, because at the age of 4, I literally remembered a past life that I had, and I told my mother about it, that I was a little Indian boy. I knew the whole story. I was a little Indian boy on a pony, that when that was around a little bit of water, the soldiers came and killed me then. And so I always had that memory. So I always was interested in the past lives. So I finally, in 2014, took an online course to learn how to regress people. And I got certified in the past regression course, and I would do as many people as possible. I worked in a salon environment. I had my own clientele and a little room in the back. And so it was perfect that I could do these past life regressions. And so I started doing as many as I could. I loved it. I love history. I love everything supernatural. I love all the history that where the people would go, and I would just love it. And so one day, or actually 3 times, I did my mother because she loved it. And I regressed my mother, and she went back into um, a Russian. She was Peter the Great's brother. And so we got very interested in that, which sent me on, because I love history, I love researching. So I started researching everything Russian. I loved the Bolsheviks and their history. No, I didn't love the Bolsheviks. I loved the Romanovs, and so she went back into a life where she was a Romanov, and I took her into the ending where she was killed by the Bolsheviks, and so then I started researching everything, like I said, everything Russian. And so one day I am watching my videos. This is during the lockdown. I was actually locked down in my house for a year and a half from March
Whoa.
20. And so I had a year and a half to watch videos, and I watched, and I got better at everything. And so then I was studying the Russian, and I came across a video feed of Vlad Savchuk, and what a great name. And I watched his video because he was Russian, so I wanted to know about Russian, and he was titled a deliverance minister, and so I wasn't sure what that was all about. But if it's about Jesus, I loved Jesus. I loved the New Age Jesus. Jesus had saved me many times in certain situations. I have gone through a lot of trauma in my life, and I felt that Jesus was always there to save me. So I did have a relationship with Jesus, even though I was very New Age. And so I was watching Vlad, and the video that he was doing was a video on deliverance. And he started talking about that if I had, um, like my grandfather was a Freemason, although my family likes to say he was a low level Freemason and he was a very nice man. Still, he was the Freemason. So I have that in my history and in my ancestry with just my grandfather. And so Vlad was saying, because of that, it can give you generational curses. And then as I realized that, I felt that I had a past life at 4. So I think it's fair to say that I did come in with generational curses. And so I watched his video, and I took it very seriously. And as he discussed all the things of witchcraft, turning everything that I was doing that I thought was so nice. He was explaining it as the witchcraft,
Sure.
and because that's what it is. And so I started, and he would started the deliverance, and so I was coughing, and he made me cry. And I don't know how long. The video was probably less than an hour video. And so I did a lot of crying. I did a lot of praying to Jesus to now save me from what I had done to myself. And so I had no idea of anything, that anything would happen. I used to watch meditation videos. I always just did that to find peace because I had no peace in my mind. I had no peace, and so I was always depressed. I was always anxious, and I was always looking for peace. I was down on my knees, just praying to Jesus at this point, where I had finally learned how to just like pray to Jesus. And that's when it happened. And so and that's when it happened. I wasn't expecting it to happen. I had no idea what I was doing. And so I'm in my room, and in this house, I'm in my room, and I'm on the floor crying, and all of a sudden, up in the ceiling lights up, and it's Jesus, of course, and he's got fire coming from. He's like he's coming in, and I couldn't see his face. I couldn't see anything about him other than it was fire and light, and he reached down, and I heard his voice. I heard his voice, and he said, "Follow me."
Wow.
And I was never the same after that. He touched me, he changed me, my heart changed, my mind changed. I all of a sudden was awake to everything I was doing. And he made me have this need to get a Bible. I had never, I think one time in my life I did have a Bible, and maybe I thumbed through it, but that was about all I ever did with the Bible. And so now I had this need to get a Bible. And so I ordered it on Amazon, and it came like the next day. This beautiful pink Bible I have that has big text so I can read it because I'm old. And I love it. And I've never been the same. I threw out everything that was new age. We had Harry Potter books in the house. We still have some things that other family members like in here that I can't throw away, like dream catchers and some stuff like that. I was out in the garage one day, and there was a dream catcher out there that I don't like at all. I don't like it at all. And so I'm always like, ah, and it's by the washing machine. And so I was out by the washing machine, and that's kind of my husband's territory. And so I had shut the door. I'd done something that moved something, and there was a shelf up above me, and the shelf came down. Apparently my husband had some knives stored up there. There was a box of knives, and all the knives came down at me and went boom, 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 all
Whoa.
around me. And so I'm like, okay, I know the devil is attacking me, and the devil did
Absolutely.
that thing, but that was very weird. But Jesus saved me from that too. So now I know that Jesus will save me from anything. I hope.
Well, let me ask you something. What tribe you mentioned that you guys were really into the Native American stuff? What tribe do you come
Well,
from, or what tribe were you associated with?
my grandfather was born in 1899. He was born in Eagle Pass. His mother was Cherokee Indian and she had done the Trail of Tears and was at the reservation in Oklahoma.
Wow.
And my grandfather's father was a German immigrant that he probably paid money. It's never been said that he paid money for her, but he did something, and he got her because he wanted to have his farm there, his ranch in Eagle Pass, and so he needed, he wanted to raise a family, and so he was considered a half breed in those days. So in 1916, when he was 16 at Eagle Pass, so they have had a fort there in 1916. And so he joined the army because Pancho Villa was up in the hills. And so they wanted to go catch him. And so then that didn't happen. And then my grandfather was in the army. So then he wound up going to Europe and then back again. And then got out of the army and then settled in Chicago. He drove a cable car, got a job driving a cable car. And he used to say all the time that he drove, that he knew
Al Capone?
Al Capone. Al Capone. He knew
Yes, LA.
Capone because Al Capone, thank you, used to ride his cable car. And so there, I'm not sure how well he knew him, but he met my grandmother at that time too. But it was from there that he then kind of went to LA, and then he wound up joining the Freemasons in LA, and he became he worked at a factory.
Carol, let me ask you this. You talked about past life regression, talking about when you were a 4-year-old. As a Christian, I don't believe we have past lives. I believe we're born once and then the judgment. So the idea of reincarnation goes completely against the biblical narrative. Have you kind of figured that out now, or?
That's demonic, and I figured that out, and that's why I know I had generational curses.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes.
Carol, thank you so much for coming on the record. Fascinating tale. It's wonderful to hear stories like this. How Jesus, and I realize some people go, well, why did she say Jesus? That's not biblical. Oh, yes, it is. It's just like, yes, it is.
Yeah.
I've seen him. I've seen him once, and I'll never forget it. I was driving in my van. I was at a very, very low point. I had a cabinet shop at this time. This is like, 30 years ago, something like that. And it was a very low point. My daughter had leukemia, and everything is falling apart on all different levels. And I'm like crying as I'm going down the canyon. What am I going to do? How is this going to work? And as I'm looking through the window of the van, there he is. There's his face. How is it possible to see his face and the road at the same time? And I wrote a worship song called Holy Love, because his eyes were burning with love, burning with love. Holy love burning for us. So there you go.
I literally felt like he pulled me out of a bush that I was completely stuck in and had been stuck in like all my life.
Sure.
He pulled me out of that bush and said, follow me. I got on fire for Jesus. I immediately looked on. I knew that whatever I felt born again.
Wow.
And I had always born again, always kind of made me feel uncomfortable. That was an uncomfortable title. And to this day, I can't really tell. I try to tell people that I'm born again, but they don't want to hear it. And I understand, because I was in that position too.
Yeah, it's amazing how the enemy keeps us. Oh, don't go there. Don't go there. Carol, thanks so much for coming on the record. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ellen.
What a wonderful testimony. So there you have it. It's I just love this, because in some ways she came from the same place that I did. I was immersed in the New Age, and the Lord rescued me from that. One thing we're going to be doing here before I sign off in all the shows, because I think we need to do that, is just pray over the show. Pray over for people like you who are watching this, that there'd be no open doors, that the Lord would put a hedge of protection around us. But Briefly, I will be at Property Watchers Conference. That's the next big conference coming up in March 5th. Can't wait for that. That is our tribe, and it'd be great to see everybody under one roof. Hope to see you there. Go to propertywatchers.com. In April, and this is all on the website, should be by now, lamarzulli.net. In April, I will be in Jupiter, Florida. So I'm back and forth to the Sunshine State. I think Florida is called the Sunshine State, but I digress. But yeah, I'll be there at a church, and all the details should be up on the website. We are going to Israel in October. Just so you know, if you're interested in that, please go to lamarzulli.net, check it out. Would love to have a whole bunch of people following a tour. I'll be lecturing in all these places, Mount Hermon, Gilgal Raphaim, underneath the Temple Mount where these two humongous stones are. Were they put there by the Romans, or did the Romans just reuse them? We'll get into that and so much more on that tour. I hope to see you on that. It should be, there's really only one tour that I'm aware of. Ours is really focused on the Nephilim sites. We do touch on places, obviously, like you got to go into Jerusalem, and I get that. And we'll be up at the Galilee, so that'll be another base. We may even take a boat ride out on the Galilee, I don't know. But I really want to drill down into these Nephilim sites that are there, and that's the whole purpose of the Israel tour. By the way, number 4 on abductions is now on streaming.lamarzulli.net, streaming.lamarzulli.net. Number 5 is at the Duplicators. It's a $5 off. We always do this for their special. If you want to get the DVD, now is the time to purchase it. We are working on number 6 in the series, and I won't tell you what that's about. That should be out, let me see, March, April, probably May sometime. We'll see what happens with that. Thanks so much for watching. If you have not subscribed, hit the little red button down there, and we will see you back here on Monday morning with another Supernatural Confrontation.